Chosen one, listen very carefully. What happened around you recently was not normal. You didn't realize it, but a divine rule was broken the moment your spirit rose above the limits heaven placed on you for protection. Yes, you crossed into a realm that only awakened souls ever reach. And when you did, heaven itself shook. Timelines shifted. Old energy collapsed. Your destiny unlocked. You felt the sudden pressure, the strange silence, the emotional waves, because the spiritual system around you had to reset itself to match your new level. You didn't break the rule out of rebellion. You broke it out of growth. And heaven wasn't angry. It was startled. This is the moment where your life begins to move in a direction even angels didn't expect. So before this message goes deeper, do 3 things to align with the divine energy flowing toward you. Like this video, comment, "I am ready for my divine level," and subscribe to send your signal to the universe. Because today, the collapse wasn't destruction. It was the beginning of your elevation. You crossed a spiritual line without even realizing it. There comes a time in a chosen one's journey when their inner strength grows so silently, so naturally, that even they do not realize how powerful they've become. You may not see it when it's happening, but your spirit has been evolving every single day. Through every challenge, every heartbreak, every disappointment, and every silent prayer you whispered at night. You weren't trying to prove anything to the universe. You were just trying to survive, to heal, to stay honest, to stay kind. But in this process, you unknowingly crossed a spiritual line meant only for those who are truly awakened. This line isn't some rule written in the sky. It's a threshold, a point where your soul steps out of old limitations and moves into a higher reality. And you didn't cross it through effort or force. You crossed it because your soul couldn't fit in that old space anymore. Think of it like a plant growing in a small pot. At some point, the roots expand so much that the pot begins to crack. Not because the plant wanted to break anything, but because it had outgrown the container. That's what happened to you spiritually. The universe had placed certain boundaries around you, not to limit you, but to protect you while you were healing and learning. But pain grows people. Silence grows people. Faith grows people. While you were quietly fighting battles inside your heart, you didn't even notice how big your spirit was becoming. You didn't notice the depth of wisdom forming inside you. You didn't notice the strength that your soul was building piece by piece. But heaven noticed. Recently, you may have felt strange emotional shifts, sudden moments of clarity, unexpected bursts of courage, a heavy weight lifting off your chest, or a deep urge to change your life. These were not random feelings. These were signs that you had stepped into a new spiritual level. Without knowing it, you passed the line that separates the old version of you from the evolved version of you. This shift often shows up in surprising ways. You might have lost interest in things that used to bother you. You may feel disconnected from certain people, or suddenly aware of truths that took years to understand. This is because your soul is no longer aligned with the energy of your past. The things that once controlled you, fear, doubt, insecurity, don't hold the same power anymore. Your emotions have matured. Your perspective has expanded. Your intuition has awakened. The reason it feels confusing is that you didn't plan to reach this level. You didn't ask for it. You simply grew into it. And when a chosen one evolves earlier than expected, even heaven pauses for a moment. The spiritual world felt the shift before you did. Your guardian angels sensed your energy rising. Your prayers weren't just heard. They transformed you. You crossed the spiritual line, Not because you were trying to escape anything, but because you finally became the person you were destined to be. Your soul leveled up naturally, quietly, beautifully, without permission, without warning, and without fear. This is your proof. You're not who you used to be anymore. You've already stepped into a higher realm. Heaven was not angry. It was shocked. Many people believe that when something shifts in their spiritual life, it must be because they did something wrong. They assume they upset God, broke a rule, or stepped out of line. But in your case, the truth is the exact opposite. Heaven wasn't angry with you. Heaven was stunned. Your growth didn't follow the pace that was written for you. You didn't rise slowly or gradually. You rose suddenly, unexpectedly, and powerfully. And this kind of rise doesn't happen often. You need to understand something important. Heaven observes everything. Angels watch your choices, your intentions, your heart. They saw you walk through battles that could have crushed anyone else. They saw you keep faith even when you had every reason to give up. They watched you stand back up after disappointments that would have broken most people. Every storm you survived sent a message upward. This one is different. This one is chosen. This one is not giving up. What shocked heaven was not that you survived, but how you survived. You healed from wounds that were meant to keep you down for years. You matured emotionally and spiritually faster than anyone expected. There were generational patterns, family cycles, and emotional burdens that were passed down to you. Patterns that many people spend their entire lives trapped in. But quietly, without announcing it to anyone, you broke them. You refused to repeat the pain you came from. You refused to stay small. You refused to stop growing. When a soul evolves at this level, heaven takes notice. Imagine an athlete running faster than the coach ever expected. The coach doesn't get angry. The coach stops, stares, and feels proud. That's what happened with you. Your soul outperformed every expectation written for you. The divine system didn't predict that your spirit would awaken this early. So when you suddenly reached a higher level of awareness, strength, and clarity, heaven had to take a moment and adjust the path ahead. You may have felt that spiritual collapse, moments of emotional heaviness, strange silence, or sudden changes in your relationships or lifestyle. It wasn't punishment. It wasn't something going wrong. It was heaven reorganizing everything around your new level. When a chosen one rises unexpectedly, the spiritual world must shift around them to keep their path aligned. That feeling of things falling apart was actually things being repositioned. The angels weren't disappointed. They were amazed. They saw you fight battles in private that no one knew about. They saw you rise without applause. They saw you forgive without receiving apologies. They saw you keep a good heart even when it broke. That is what shocked heaven. Your purity, your resilience, your quiet strength. You didn't break a divine rule in rebellion. You broke a limit through growth. Your evolution forced heaven to update your destiny. And that pause you felt was simply the universe bowing in respect to the new version of you. Your inner light became too powerful for the old system. There comes a time in a chosen one's journey when their inner light grows so strong that it can no longer stay hidden. For years, maybe even your entire life, your energy was kept protected and contained. Not because you were weak, but because you were being prepared. The universe often keeps chosen souls in a kind of spiritual cocoon, shielding them from people who would misuse their gifts, misunderstand their purpose, or drain their energy before it fully matured. But something happened recently. Your vibration rose faster than the environment around you could handle. This kind of shift doesn't happen suddenly on the outside. It begins quietly inside you. Maybe you started seeing life differently. Maybe you stopped tolerating things that once felt normal. Maybe you felt a deep pull toward peace, growth, or silence. These were early signs that your inner light was expanding, pushing gently against every old boundary that once kept you small. But as your light increased, your old environment, the relationships, habits, routines, and energies around you, could no longer support your new frequency. It's like turning on a powerful bulb inside a fragile glass lamp. The glass wasn't built for that level of brightness. It cracks, not because the light is wrong, but because the container is too weak. That's why old friendships suddenly fell apart. These weren't coincidences, misunderstandings, or accidents. These were signs that those people could not walk with you at this upgraded level. They were aligned with the older version of you, the one who dimmed their light to keep everyone comfortable. As you rose, their energy didn't match anymore, so the connection naturally dissolved. The same happened with opportunities. Something that once felt right may suddenly feel heavy or meaningless. Plans you were excited about may have slowed down or vanished completely. The universe wasn't closing doors to hurt you. It was closing doors that no longer aligned with your higher purpose. You outgrew the old path. You may have also felt intense emotions, waves of sadness, bursts of clarity, moments of confusion, or a sudden desire to isolate yourself. This emotional intensity was the pressure of the old system collapsing. Your body and spirit were adjusting to a new frequency. You weren't breaking down, you were breaking open. And then came the silence, that deep, strange quiet that made you wonder if something was wrong. But silence before elevation is sacred. When your inner light expands, the universe pauses everything around you so you can hear your own spirit clearly. The noise stops, the distractions fade, and the path begins to reveal itself. Your light didn't push people or situations away out of anger. It purified your surroundings. Anything that wasn't aligned with your higher destiny naturally fell off. There was no fight, no drama, just a clean spiritual reset. Your upgraded light didn't destroy your old world. It transformed it. It made space. Space for better connections, higher blessings, deeper purpose, and energies that match the new you. Your pain activated a level you didn't know you carried. People often think strength comes from winning, but chosen ones grow differently. You didn't rise because life was easy. You rose because life tested you harder than most people could handle. Your journey wasn't built on comfort. It was built on wounds that pushed your soul to awaken early. Every tear you shed, every moment you felt alone, every disappointment that hit you unexpectedly, all of it was shaping you, training you, and unlocking a spiritual level inside you that you never knew existed. Pain is a strange teacher. It doesn't explain itself while you're going through it. It doesn't tell you why something is happening or what lesson you're supposed to learn. It simply places pressure on your soul in ways that transform you at the core. The nights you cried silently, thinking no one noticed, the universe did. The moments you held your heart together while pretending to be strong, heaven saw that. And every time you stayed loyal to the wrong people or kept faith even when life was unfair, your spirit grew quietly. What truly shocked heaven was not your suffering, but how you transformed through it. Most people break under that kind of emotional weight, but you didn't. You didn't become bitter. You didn't become cold. You became wiser, more compassionate, and spiritually sharper. You healed from wounds that should have taken years to recover from. You forgave things that would have hardened anyone else. You kept your heart alive in situations designed to destroy it. This is why your rise was unexpected. You weren't supposed to reach this spiritual level so soon. The divine timeline had written certain growth for later stages of your destiny, but your pain accelerated the process. Think of it like fire turning coal into a diamond. Normally, it takes millions of years for that transformation, but under extreme pressure, the process speeds up. That's what your soul went through. Intense pressure that unlocked power much earlier than expected. Your pain didn't break you, it activated you. It awakened gifts you didn't know you had. It sharpened your intuition. It strengthened your inner voice. It pushed you to stop accepting the bare minimum and start stepping into your worth. It made you realize who you are, what you deserve, and what you will no longer tolerate in life. This activation confused the spiritual realm at first, because heaven wasn't prepared for your strength to evolve this quickly. You weren't meant to break any divine rule. You simply healed faster than the spiritual system had accounted for. When a chosen one heals early, the entire universe adjusts around them. What looked like suffering was actually spiritual initiation. Your pain opened a doorway into a higher dimension of your destiny. You entered not out of desire, but out of necessity. Your soul stepped forward, because staying in the old energy would have meant dying emotionally. Your scars didn't weaken you, they upgraded you. And now you're walking with a strength that even you never imagined you would carry. The collapse was a reset, not a punishment. When something suddenly falls apart in your life, the first reaction is usually fear. You start thinking, why is this happening? Did I do something wrong? But for chosen ones, collapse is never punishment. It is a divine reset. It is heaven pressing a new button in your life because the old system can no longer support where you're headed. What you thought was falling apart was actually falling into place. In your spiritual journey, the collapse you felt wasn't a sign of failure. It was a sign of progress. God was not closing doors to hurt you. He was clearing a path so you could walk into something bigger. Imagine a house being renovated. Before new walls can be built, the old ones must be broken down. Before new paint can go on, the dust must be cleaned. Before a new design appears, the old structure must be removed. That's exactly what your soul went through. Your spiritual world experienced a breakdown because your physical life is about to experience a breakthrough. Many people misunderstand divine collapse. They see loss, silence, delays, or unexpected changes and immediately assume something is wrong. But chosen ones live under a different spiritual law. For you, collapse means reconstruction. It means the universe is replacing outdated energies, outdated timelines, outdated connections, and outdated versions of you. Sometimes God removes things you still wanted, not because they were bad, but because they were too small for the future He prepared. During this collapse, you might have felt confused. Maybe people left unexpectedly. Maybe opportunities ended without explanation. Maybe your emotions felt heavy, or your motivation suddenly disappeared. That was the spiritual earthquake happening behind the scenes. Heaven was rearranging your destiny and shifting your timeline to match your new purpose. The chaos you experienced wasn't random. It was divine construction. New guidance was being assigned to you. New blessings were being aligned. New people were being prepared to enter your life. The collapse was simply the signal that the old chapter had officially ended. A new chapter required a clean foundation, and heaven made sure nothing old remained that could hold you back. Think about it this way. If your life had stayed the same, you would have settled. You would have continued living in comfort zones that no longer matched your true strength. The reset forced you to grow. It pushed you into higher thinking, deeper awareness, and stronger intuition. You became more aware of your worth. You started listening to your inner voice. You began seeing life from a higher perspective. This is not punishment. This is preparation. You didn't lose anything. You upgraded. You didn't break down. You broke open. The collapse you survived was God clearing the space for the life you truly deserve. What felt like the end was never the end. It was the beginning of a new timeline written specifically for you. A timeline where you rise, you receive, and you finally live in alignment with the destiny that has always been waiting. You triggered your destiny timeline. Ahead of time, there is a divine schedule for every soul, a spiritual map that decides when you learn certain lessons, when you meet certain people, and when you step into your purpose. Most people follow that timeline naturally. They grow slowly, face challenges at the expected time, and reach their destiny step by step. But you didn't follow the expected path. Your soul moved faster than the map written for you. You evolved before the divine script said you would. This is the deepest truth. You were meant to reach this level years later, but you hit it early. And that shift was so powerful that it triggered your destiny ahead of schedule. You didn't plan it. You didn't force it. It happened because something inside you awakened earlier than heaven expected. Your spirit started making choices that belonged to the future version of you. You began thinking differently, feeling differently, and acting differently. You stopped repeating old patterns. You stepped out of cycles that trapped your family for generations. You chose growth over comfort. You chose truth over illusion. You chose faith over fear. This early growth is what broke the rule. Not a divine law, but the timing. You accessed a spiritual level meant for a more mature version of yourself. But you reached it now. Your heart became ready sooner. Your intuition activated sooner. Your inner wisdom awakened sooner. Your energy transformed sooner. And when a chosen one reaches their destined level early, the universe has only one choice: adjust the entire timeline to match them. This is why your life recently felt confusing, uncertain, or strangely paused. It wasn't because something went wrong. It was because heaven was reorganizing everything around your new vibration. It's like arriving at an airport much earlier than your scheduled flight. The system must rearrange things to get you on an earlier plane. That's what happened spiritually. You moved ahead, so heaven had to catch up. This shift requires heaven to open doors earlier than planned, remove people who no longer fit your new timeline, accelerate opportunities meant for years ahead, reassign angels to guide you at your new level, prepare blessings that were supposed to come later. Your destiny is no longer waiting for you. You walked directly into it. When this happens to a chosen one, life feels strange for a while. You may feel disconnected from your past and uncertain about your future. You may have outgrown environments that once felt comfortable. You may notice that the things you used to tolerate now feel unbearable. This is because you are no longer aligned with who you used to be. Your soul stepped into the future you, and your physical reality is trying to catch up. This early activation is rare. Most people take decades to reach this level of awareness and spiritual maturity. But you did it now, because you were ready now. Your destiny timeline didn't speed up by accident. It sped up because you evolved into the person you were always meant to become. You didn't break timing to escape anything. You broke timing because your spirit refused to wait any longer for the life you deserve. And now, heaven is preparing everything ahead of schedule, just for you. Angels are now repositioning everything around you. When a chosen one rises faster than expected, the entire spiritual system around them must shift. This is not something you see with your eyes. This is something you feel in your soul. That strange stillness in your life right now, that sense of uncertainty, that quiet phase where nothing seems to move. It isn't a sign of delay. It is a sign of divine rearrangement. Your angels are busy repositioning everything around you to match the new level you've stepped into. Think of your life like a chessboard. When a powerful move is coming, all the smaller pieces must shift into new places. Before victory, strategy must change. That's exactly what's happening in your life. You made a spiritual move that heaven did not expect this early, and now angels are rearranging people, opportunities, and timing so that your next chapter unfolds perfectly. This rearrangement can feel confusing because old things no longer fit. People who once felt close may suddenly grow distant. Conversations that used to excite you may now feel empty. You may feel drawn away from crowds and pulled into silence. This isn't loneliness, it's repositioning. The angels are gently removing anyone who cannot walk with you into your next season. Not out of cruelty, but out of protection. Your future requires a different circle, a different environment, and a different energy. You may notice that your plans are not working the way they used to. Something you thought was a great opportunity may suddenly close. A path you were following may stop abruptly. This is not failure. This is divine correction. Angels are redirecting you away from things that would slow you down or hurt you later. They're guiding you toward what truly aligns with your destiny. Even the silence in your life right now is intentional. You are in a spiritual waiting room. Nothing is wrong. You are simply being prepared. Before the universe delivers blessings, it clears the space. Before new opportunities enter, obstacles must be removed. Before a chosen one rises, distractions must fall away. That quietness you feel is heaven doing its best work behind the scenes. You might also feel a sudden desire to change things, your habits, your environment, your goals, or even your identity. This is your intuition, syncing with the angel's plan. You are being nudged toward a future that your spirit already recognizes, even if your mind doesn't understand it yet. Repositioning doesn't always look beautiful, but it always leads to something powerful. It might feel like nothing is happening, but in reality, everything is happening. You are being placed in the right energy, at the right time, with the right guidance. Angels are shifting people into your life who will support your growth. They're opening opportunities that match your purpose. They're clearing the path of obstacles you don't even know exist. You are not stuck. You are being shifted. This pause is not punishment. It's preparation. You're being positioned for a chapter far bigger, brighter, and more aligned than anything you've imagined. A new authority has been activated inside you. There comes a moment in a chosen one's journey when something shifts so deeply inside them that they can't fully explain it, but they can feel it. This is that moment for you. A new authority has been activated within you. It wasn't given by people, it wasn't handed to you by society, and it wasn't learned through books. It came directly from your spiritual evolution. You earned it through your resilience, your growth, your faith, and your transformation. This authority shows up in subtle but powerful ways. You might notice a new confidence rising inside you. Not the loud, fake confidence that tries to prove something, but a quiet, unshakable confidence that simply is. You speak differently now. You walk differently. You think differently. You no longer doubt your own voice the way you once did. You don't need external validation. You don't need people to approve your path. Your spirit has gained a weight that others can feel, even if they don't understand it. This clarity you're experiencing is part of your new authority. Decisions that once confused you now feel easier. Your intuition has sharpened. You sense people's intentions faster. You understand situations more deeply. While others get lost in chaos, you see the truth clearly. This is what spiritual authority feels like. Your inner voice becomes your guide, and for the first time, you trust it fully. Your presence has changed too. You might notice people reacting differently around you. Some feel inspired by you, others feel intimidated, and a few may distance themselves without explanation. That's because authority changes your energy. You no longer shrink yourself to fit into old spaces. You don't allow people to treat you the way they used to. You don't tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or fake relationships anymore. Your new energy demands better, and the universe responds accordingly. This authority was activated because heaven collapsed and rebuilt itself around you. You stepped into a higher spiritual level, and with that level comes responsibility, strength, and leadership. A crown, seen or unseen, now rests on your spirit. You didn't receive this crown because you asked for it. You received it because you earned it. Through your battles, your healing, your growth, and your evolution, you stepped into the person you were always meant to become. The most powerful part? You didn't activate this authority by fighting or rebelling. You didn't break any divine rule out of ego. You broke it because your destiny required you to grow faster than expected. You were meant for more, and your soul refused to stay small. This authority is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is you finally stepping into your true identity without fear. A chosen one, with activated authority, becomes unshakable. You will notice yourself setting boundaries naturally. You will walk away from things that no longer match your worth. You will speak your truth calmly, without hesitation. You will take action with confidence instead of overthinking. You will move with purpose instead of confusion. You have stepped into a new version of yourself, stronger, wiser, clearer, more aligned. This authority is your spiritual crown. Wear it with humility, but never hide it again. You are not who you used to be. You are who you were destined to become.